Dynamic knee valgus happens when your knee caves in when you go up or down stairs, when you run, jump, or do exercises like squats and lunges. If you have this, you're at a greater risk of suffering from general knee pain, tendonitis, meniscus tears, and ACL tears, especially if you play sports that involve running, cutting, or jumping like soccer, volleyball, or basketball. In this video, you'll discover 2 keys that are missed in the standard approach that will help you fix your knee valgus for good. Hey, it's Coach E from Precision Movement, and today we're going to cover dynamic knee valgus. Now, this is different than structural or congenital knee valgus, which is when you're born with a certain shape in your bones that has you in this knock-kneed position. If you have this and you're interested in learning more, let us know and leave a comment, and perhaps we'll do a video in the future on that. And if you have any questions after watching today's video, also leave a comment and we'll be sure to address them for you. Dynamic knee valgus looks like the knee caving in, especially when you're doing a single leg exercise like a single leg squat. So that is the knee going like that. And it's characterized by a number of different movements. Number one, starting at the hip, the hip will shift and shoot out laterally. Because of the hip shifting and shooting out laterally, it's also going to go into adduction and internal rotation. So the hip is going to turn in. Other compensations that are very common with knee valgus include tibial external rotation. So the tibia, the lower leg, will rotate out, and foot pronation. The foot will flatten out and the foot will evert. The bottom of the foot will turn outwards. So all of these movements are common when knee valgus occurs, and this is why the standard approach basically tries to give you exercises that do the opposite movements. So instead of your hip shifting out and adducting and internally rotating, the exercises are all for hip abduction and external rotation. That's why you'll see a lot of glute medius and glute maximus exercises in a valgus style program. However, this standard approach misses 2 key elements that will help you to get to the root cause to fix your valgus knees for good. And that's what we're covering in today's video. The first key is addressing the foot and the ankle, and there are 2 pieces to this puzzle. For the foot, we've got to wake up and ensure the intrinsic foot muscles are strong. The intrinsic foot muscles create what we call the active arch, and the active arch helps to maintain the stability of the foot so that it doesn't go flat, and when the foot goes flat, the knee automatically caves in. So right away, we've got to make sure that those muscles are working well. To do that, our favorite exercise, our go-to exercise to start with, is called the short and skinny foot. And basically what you're doing is you're balancing on one foot or putting more pressure on one foot. You start off by spreading the toes, and then you make the foot skinny across the metatarsals between the big toe and the little toe, and you make the foot short by pulling the metatarsals towards the heel. That's the short and skinny foot. We've talked about this in many previous videos, and we also go into more depth with other exercises in a video specifically on the intrinsic foot muscles. So I'm going to link that down in the description below because we want to focus on valgus now, but you can come back to that afterwards if the foot muscles and creating that active arch is a problem for you. The other way that the active arch and strengthening and waking these muscles up helps is that these muscles are really important for proprioception. There's a lot of sensory receptors in the muscles of the bottom of the foot and in the skin of the bottom of the foot that tell the brain basically how to organize movement to ensure balance and alignment and stability. So if these muscles aren't working well, you won't get good proprioception and you won't know how to balance. Your brain won't know how to deal with whatever terrain and whatever movements you are performing. Now, one point I will make in this video that's relevant to valgus knee and standing on one leg, balancing, is that the active arch there's 5 lines you can think of between each toe and the center of the heel. So this is my foot. Each metatarsal between that and the center of the heel, there's an arch. There are muscles that can create that arch. For the purposes of single leg balance, you want to focus on the middle toe from that metatarsal, so the base of the toe, to the heel. You focus on pulling that metatarsal towards the heel and creating that arch. The reason why is because it's like driving. If you're driving down the street and you want to stay straight, you're making micro adjustments. You're not holding the wheel locked into one place. The same goes for balancing on one foot. Balancing on one foot is a series of micro adjustments. So if you're on the middle arch and you're centered over the middle of the foot, you can make those micro adjustments left and right. But if all your weight's over on the medial aspect or on the lateral aspect, you've only got one direction to go. So that's where you can get into overcorrection and quickly lose your balance. So this focus on pulling the third metatarsal towards the heel and creating the arch and balancing over that line is going to be taken through all the exercises that we're going to cover today. With respect to the ankle, the key here is ensuring that you've got sufficient ankle dorsiflexion range of motion. So ankle dorsiflexion is when you're pulling your toe towards your knee, or if your foot's on the ground, the knee is going forward over the toe. If you're lacking this range of motion and you're performing a movement that needs it, like a single leg squat or like going up or down stairs, then to compensate for this lack of dorsiflexion, you're going to pronate. You're going to turn your foot out, your knee is going to cave in, and that is basically recreating valgus. So ensure that you've got proper ankle dorsiflexion range to do any of the movements that you need to do where you're balancing on one foot. We've got another video that covers all of this and more, so we're going to link to that in the description because I don't want to cover that in this video. I just want to highlight that for you so that you can understand and learn if this is something that you need to work on. So I've called out the foot and the ankle as key number one because they form the foundation for which all of your movement occurs. So if your foot and your ankle aren't correct, then nothing from there up is going to be correct. So that's where you need to start. The second key is kinesthetic awareness. And this basically refers to your awareness of where your body is in space. It's your awareness of your own body and your body positioning. I discovered just how important kinesthetic awareness is after I did an exhaustive review of the research. Most of the studies in my review were focused on hip abduction and glute medius strengthening, and some of the studies showed positive results. Some of the studies showed no results. So what's happening here? Then I came across one study titled, "Knee valgus during jump landing is related to the inaccuracy of knee position recognition in healthy young women." There were 39 healthy young women in this study, and the researchers had them stand on a 31 centimeter high platform with feet shoulder width apart. They jumped off and were instructed to land equally on both feet on the floor and immediately perform a maximum vertical jump from the squatting position. Before the jump, the subjects were instructed to land with their knees in a neutral position, and it's during this test that the researchers measured the amount of valgus. The researchers also measured the inaccuracy of knee position recognition by having the subjects blindfolded, then stand against a wall and squat down to 70 degrees of knee flexion and touch a bar to indicate how far apart they thought their knees were. They also measured hip abduction strength, internal rotation range of motion, and external rotation range of motion. The only positive finding in this study was the degree of knee valgus during the drop vertical jump test was correlated with the degree of inaccuracy of the recognized knee position with the knees in the neutral position, not hip abductor strength or hip internal or external range of motion. This study showed just how important joint position sense or kinesthetic awareness is to your ability to maintain good alignment and avoid caving the knees when you're doing exercises like jumping or single leg squats. So kinesthetic awareness plus addressing your foot and your ankle is how you're going to fix your knee valgus for good. And that brings us to what I call our anti-valgus training exercises. Anti-valgus training part one is the hip hitch exercise. This exercise wakes up and integrates muscles from the foot to the hip that are needed for one leg stability. You stand on a step or a plate and create the short and skinny foot, focusing on that middle arch between the third metatarsal and the heel. Keep both knees straight and slowly lower the foot towards the floor by dropping the pelvis. Then you lift the foot away from the floor by hiking the pelvis and hold that at the top for 5 seconds. Move slow and under control when you do this exercise and ensure that you're balanced on the center of your foot around that third arch, that middle arch. Perform one set of 5 reps holding for 5 seconds at the top, and this will wake up and integrate muscles from the foot to the hip that are necessary for maintaining alignment. Part 2 of anti-valgus training is the one leg hinge exercise. Again, the focus is staying centered on your short and skinny foot and maintaining alignment, not reps or sets or how far over you can hinge. Start by creating the short and skinny foot, focusing on the middle arch on one foot, and lift the other foot off the ground. Bend the knee slightly and slowly hinge at the hips with good posture while looking at your leg to ensure you're maintaining alignment from your hip to your leg. Pause if you feel like you're losing your alignment to restore it. You may have to reactivate and center yourself over your foot, turn your shin out, or engage the hips more. Throughout this exercise, you can use a wall for balance to ensure that you're not falling over and you can restore alignment and restore activation in those ranges where you're losing it. Once you've restored your alignment and your activation, continue to your end range of motion and then slowly return to the standing position, maintaining your alignment the whole time. Start off doing this for 1 minute on one side and then go to the other side. Performing the one leg hinge will help you to start to integrate this alignment training and these muscles into a functional movement pattern. And staring at your leg and making those adjustments when you see that you're off is how you're going to build your kinesthetic awareness. Part 3 of your anti-valgus training is the one leg squat. All the cues we just went through for the one leg hinge apply here. It's just a more challenging exercise. Start by creating the short and skinny foot, focusing again on the middle arch on one foot and lift the other foot off the ground. Maintain good posture while you squat down and look at your leg to ensure you're maintaining alignment. I like to use my fingers as a guide to help me see if I'm maintaining alignment. Pause if you feel like you're losing your alignment to restore it. You might have to reactivate and center yourself over the middle of your foot, turn your shin out, or engage the hips more. And use a wall for balance. You're not trying to just work balance. You're trying to restore and activate the muscles when you lose this alignment to teach your brain how to perform this movement without the knees caving in. Continue to your end range of motion and slowly return to the standing position, maintaining your alignment the whole time. Start off for doing this for 1 minute on each side just to train and learn how to fix your alignment and your positioning. It's not about the reps, it's not about the sets. So you might do 2 reps, you might do just 1 rep within that minute, and that's totally fine. For the one leg squat, you'll want to do 2 sets, starting off at 1 minute for each set. So it doesn't matter how many reps you get in there. You'll probably do anywhere from 1 to 3 repetitions because the key is going slowly so you can discover what range of motion that you're losing your balance in and you're losing your alignment in, and then fix it. Because when you fix it there and you pause there for a second, you're training those muscles and you're restoring those movement patterns. You're training your brain. This is how we want to move and this is how we want to stabilize our body so that we can prevent the knee valgus and the knees from caving in. Now, when you do the one leg squat and the one leg hinge, you might feel certain areas of your body fatiguing quickly, or you might feel blocked in certain areas. The common ones are the bottom of the foot, so that indicates your intrinsic foot muscles need more training. You could be the front of the ankle, that indicates that you need more ankle dorsiflexion, or you might feel burning and lots of work happening in the outer hip, and that's the glute medius or the piriformis. And we have videos for all of those, so if you need to focus on any specific area, check out the resources that we're going to post in the description in this video. These 2 key concepts that we just walked through today are getting to the root cause of functional or dynamic knee valgus. Yes, you might need hip abductor exercises and they can be beneficial, but without joint position sense training and without a proper foot and ankle foundation as your foundation, they're not going to do much for you. So that's our approach to fixing your knee valgus. If you liked it, let us know by hitting the like button or leaving us a comment. Make sure you're subscribed if you like science-backed, practical, time-efficient routines and exercises to fix your issues. And check out our other videos. I've mentioned already, here's the intrinsic foot muscle video, here's the dorsiflexion video, or if you want to make sure you've got everything in one package that's easy to follow, check out the knee pain solution, because we cover from foot to hip and everything in between to make sure that everything is working right to get to the root causes of movement issues. So check that out and sign up and I can coach you through that.